Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Can You Hear Me podcast. I'm Eileen Rochford, CEO of the Harbinger Group, a marketing and strategy firm.
And I'm Rob Johnson, president of Rob Johnson Communications. You know, many bosses thrive on ensuring that their direct reports adhere to their management style. But what if you could get more out of them by being an adaptive leader and playing to their strengths? That's meeting them where they are. And it's chapter 8 of my new book, Overcommunicate, a guide for business executives and aspiring leaders.
And to discuss this with us today at greater length, we are joined by Kathryn Lavin, CEO of Gateway to Learning, a Chicago not-for-profit dedicated to providing life skills, job training, and employment opportunities to adults with intellectual disabilities. Kathy, welcome to the show. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Eileen and Rob. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be talking to you today.
Yay. Well,
As are we.
Yes, very much so.
Thank you.
So I just want to let our listeners in on, your secrets about yourself, Kathy. Just kidding. Your backstory. What? Tell us, who you really are, how you got to your position today, and what brought you to Gateway to Learning, so everybody can just understand you a bit more before we dive in.
Yeah, sure. I would say that in a nutshell, I've been in the nonprofit space for almost 40 years. I know that's hard to believe, but it's been almost 40 years. And and I've done everything from being in program, supervising line staff, to being a staff educator in New Jersey, coming here to Chicago and getting my MSW, doing research at UIC, being a community outreach director, being in development, all of that, all the way up to now CEO. And I will say that despite all those hats and roles, the thing that has influenced me most is being a mother, and particularly to my soon-to-be 30-year-old, who's my oldest, who has Down syndrome. So I guess you might say it's been divine intervention to bring me to Gateway to Learning.
It really is, and you're the perfect person to be there. For the listeners that may not know, we've been friends for more than 25 years and have connected with a common bond because Emily and Edward, my brother, both have Down syndrome, as you just mentioned about Emily. But as I was writing this book, and I was looking to find the perfect people for each chapter that I had an idea for. And reminder, Eileen is chapter 9, everyone communicating in a remote working environment. So I have two subjects of the book that are on this podcast today. I was able, though, Kathy, to watch you with your team on various projects that we've worked on together over the past few years. And I really did appreciate your collaborative approach and the fact that you got the most out of people by tapping into their personalities. And in other words, you're meeting them where they are. So that's the name of the chapter. With the minute I realized I wanted to focus on that subject matter, I was thinking, who would be good to do that? And you immediately came to mind. So I know what it means to me. You've read the book. What does it mean to you to be an adaptive and adaptable leader?
That is a great question, right? And I mean, I think you said it perfectly. It's meeting people where they are, but what that means is really looking at what their strengths are, what they're good at, if they're in the right positions, what's the capacity need for the organization. Um, Gateway, I think I've shared that I came in at a very turbulent time for the organization. The former CEO had passed away, and I think coming in and saying, okay, what does this organization need? What do all the stakeholders need? What do the families and the people we support really need, and how do we meet that? Um, and then looking at the team and saying, is this team, the right team here as we move forward? Do people feel heard? Do they feel respected? I don't know, looking at other people's just what they're good at and responding to that and what they need support with, right? So, like if you're working with a team member, what kind of supports do they need? Do they need, different people need different feedback and different frequency of that feedback and different types of feedback. And some people are just like, head down, let me know what I need to do. And others just want more positive reinforcement on a daily basis. So, I think it's being able to shift and look at that and being flexible in who you are as a leader as well. Um, so that's the overview and the main part of that. I mean, I think the other experience I have is really, we talked about Emily a little bit earlier, but Emily not only has Down syndrome, but she has what's called speech apraxia. So she is I guess in street terms would be nonverbal, right? So you'd say, well, she's nonverbal. So, communication has become really important in my life personally, and also in my professional life. So, Emily does not communicate the way everybody else communicates. And when you look at body language and how much communication is really nonverbal, then you're really looking at what is this person communicating? How are they communicating? And how am I interpreting what they're saying and responding appropriately to that? And I think just having raised Emily for 29 years, I think that she's actually giving me that skill and that practice on a daily basis.
That's fascinating. I just keep thinking about how did you acquire these skills? And there you gave me an inside view. I had no idea that would have been the source for you. That's fascinating. Yeah.
There's also this background of the social work aspect. And I think that both, and I don't know, Rob, if you even know this, that I am a Reiki master. Yeah. So yeah,
I did know that. I only learned that when I interviewed you for the book, though. Out of all these years I've known you, I did not know that.
Yeah.
And then we started talking about interviewing for the book, and I was like, I did not know that.
Yeah. So just kind of this whole like experience of being a social worker, first and foremost, which has this whole background about the theory, social work theory is saying, okay, if you make change on in one variable in a system, whether that system is internal or familial or in a couple or in a team, right? When you change a variable within that system, the whole system changes. So, you're looking at, are you supporting one particular staff person at a time, right? That creates change within the system. And so that there's that social work theory. And then you add this element for me personally about being a Reiki master, which is all about, source and connectivity and our humanity and but more than that, it's about our spirit and our soul and how we're so connected. And I think that leaders in general are afraid to get into that level about what their employees really need on a human level, right? And I think that's part of that adaptability, right? And just meeting people where they are.
Do you mind if I ask about how you draw upon what you've developed as a Reiki master kind of in your workplace? Can you think about not specific examples, but just in general, things that maybe came from there and what are they and how do you use them?
Sure. I mean, I think that as a Reiki master, that there's an energy, or it's like the force, right? I mean, it's like there's energy that, as Yoda says, surrounds and is in us and connects us all. And I think that each individual has their own energy that they bring to an organization, but the organization has its own energy, right? So I think it's just cultivating that energy and ideally in a positive way. Like, where are people growing? How are they growing? Are they passionate about what they do? Right? That's all part of your soul language. And if you're not passionate about what you do, then it's going to be reflected in your day-to-day job performance.
Do you bring
Definitely.
the energy? I know you bring your energy that you were just
Yeah,
talking about there,
yeah.
but do you think because you're the leader, you were talking about the organization's energy? The organization has energy because it's helping people that really need help, people with intellectual disabilities, but also in your own contribution, because you have those values, do you think that your energy, okay, here's Kathy at work, but also because you're the leader, that you give the organization a different kind of energy than it normally would have had, which would have been a good one anyway?
I do. I mean, I can't separate that for
Right.
me. I mean, it's so innate in who I am. Just like being a mother of an adult daughter with Down syndrome is innate in what I do. I mean, it's I cannot separate that. I mean, I think that's part of being an adaptable leader is saying, okay, this is my authentic self, right? I have to be true to myself, and who I am. Does it mean I'm you know perfect? No. Does it mean that I'm flawed? Sure. We all are. We all are human. And so, but absolutely. I mean, absolutely. It's part of this like thing where you do, I wake up every morning, I do a gratitude practice. It's all just part of the whole philosophy around not just Reiki, but around gratitude and, you know, blessing things as come to work and the staff and even blessing what I and asking for support in communicating. What does the staff need to hear today? Am I present? Am I so distracted by so many other things? Like, you walk down the hallway and people are like, I mean, there are days that I'm walking down the hallway and my head is like in not in the clouds, but it's like so focused on my to-do list and what I have to do. And someone will be like, "Hello," and I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." And to say this is me. Like sometimes I get so focused that I don't, but also acknowledging that person needs that eye contact. They need that hello, and I have to be mindful of some people on my team need a good morning every day and some people don't, right? And I have to be like, okay, get your head out of the to-do list and respond to people. Be present.
I was just about to say, being present, how much of an energetic impact that has on yourself and everyone around you, and then the ultimate, organizational energy.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
just
very
that
true.
thing alone can have such an immense impact. It's fascinating because I'm also thinking about how, you we talk so much about culture and what a significant role leaders play in culture. Now you have me thinking about energy, and that's just an entirely different element of an organization. It's fascinating because nobody owns the energy, right? Everybody owns the energy.
Everyone co-creates the energy.
They create it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Co-create it. So if someone comes in and they're in a bad mood, right? What happens to the rest of the team? Right? So how do you respond to that? It happened just today. You're like, okay, you're having a tough day. Come into my office, take a beat, and asking those questions. Do you need space? Do you need quiet? Right? Do you need to take a break? What is it that you need? And what can I do to help provide that for you? Right? And then people, right, they're strengthened. And then the energy of the organization of the day changes, right? So, and then the organization. So, oh yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is, it is a thing. It is real.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
So we're talking about the adaptive leadership and meeting where people where they are. Um, why is this type of leadership so crucial um, for you and for your entire team at Gateway to Learning? What do you think? Why is it the right one for you guys, Kathy?
I think that, again, I think going back to where my origin was in 2018 when I joined the team, right, is coming in at a time when there was such um, grief. I mean, talk about the energy. I mean, there was grief and there was confusion and there was turmoil, and just being again present to what the organization was experiencing as its own being, right? And then saying, how do I help lead and shape that? And again, meeting people where they're at. And so now I'm going to ask you to rephrase that question again because I just lost my thought.
That's okay. I was just kind of wondering if it feels like this style is so vital to how you personally lead and how what your team, what your organization needs collectively
Yeah.
and from you. And why
I,
do you think that is?
I don't know. I think so much is about being mindful and being present and being self-aware of who you are. I think that um, this is my authentic self, and maybe it's age. I don't know. Maybe it's wisdom. Maybe it's age again. Like I don't really, but just saying, okay, this is what I've learned, and I've observed so many people, right, different leaders throughout my day in nonprofit, and I think that adapting qualities of other people and seeing where people are successful has been key, and also seeing where people were not so successful and saying, you know what, that first of all, they're what they are reflecting in their actions are not what I value. So again, holding true to what I value and my own authenticity, I think is really key, right? So I think that adds to the mindfulness and the presence. Um, of being a leader, particularly for this organization that has gone through so much change in the last 8 years. So, yeah.
I think you should give yourself a little more credit. You could say it might be age or wisdom, but it's probably wisdom. You should. That's yeah. That's how you need to couch that. It's all wisdom
It's
mainly.
all wisdom. Yeah, I'm a crone. No.
Well, Kathy, sometimes we hear leaders or even coaches talk about treating everyone the same. I got to treat everyone the same. But even though you have principles and values for the organization, the ones that you help set, the energy that you bring, you really do have to treat everyone a little differently. I think that's pretty obvious here in this discussion. Does that ever confuse members of your team? Like, well, she didn't treat, him like she did her, or vice versa. Does that ever come across,
Sure.
or is everybody well versed enough in the way that you do things to understand she has to treat us differently? What is
Yeah,
it?
I think it's a little of both. I mean, I think that one of the things that we value is person-centered supports, right? So for the people that we support with intellectual disabilities, it's really this philosophy of being person-centered. So in general, our program is focused on being person-centered, and everything has to be somewhat individualized, right? So I think they understand that as a whole. Doesn't mean that things don't come up, right? So I think that it's kind of like what I told my kids when they were little, and they would come home, it was Saturday morning, and they'd be like, well, my other two kids would be like, why does Emily not have to do all these chores? Why does she only get one chore and we have to do four chores? Well, I don't understand that. And I'm like, look, hold on one second. What's fair is not what's equal. So what's
Ah,
equitable is not what's equal. I mean, it's not, and it's hard to wrap your head around that. I think certainly when you're 6 years old or 7 years old, and you're like, well, why, I got four chores and she's got one chore. Um, it's not, right. Equity is not equal to all things, and so so just being mindful of that. And I think that at times I've seen that played here, like in like transparency, right? So you'd be like, okay, well, I want to be transparent about everything, as much as I can. And then people are like, well, you're transparent about this, but how come you're not calling people out on their lack of job performance. And you say, well, how do you know? Or why does some person get to leave early or one person gets to come in late? I can't be totally transparent around those things. Those are confidential things. So I think sometimes, particularly when you have a multi-generational staff, that some people understand, some people don't understand. I think there's this whole thing around, transparency means that I should know everything that happens all the time, and that, you know, what's fair is not what's equal. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's it's so fun when I talk to leaders with Rob on this show, leaders like you, and I hear so many of the same things that I grapple with myself, and it's affirming. It is.
Sure.
It is. I'm
Yeah.
curious, Kathy. So some people listening right now might think, well, gosh, that's, kind of pushover leadership, this whole, being, nice here, nice there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that's the case at all. There has to be times in your position where you have had to be just firm and hold that line. And so when do you play that card? When do you find that that's an absolute must for you?
At the end of the day, I mean, absolutely, there are definitely those moments that I feel like, just don't confuse kindness with weakness, right? So I think that at the end of the day, my biggest priority is the people we support, right? And the organization as a whole. So what am I doing that creates a sustainability of the organization, particularly in this day and age, right? That allows the people we support to get what they need, right? So does it undermine any of the things that we have discussed and adopted as our values and our pillars, right? So that's where I draw the line, right? So does it put what we believe are values at risk, right? So we have developed, for example, it's called the bridge, the bridge, and this visual we have that the bridge has, these pillars, right? And then at the bottom, these concrete pillars, which are our values, right? It's these beams, right? And when the beams include things like the people we support and the services and our staffing, the facility needs, things like that, the revenue, the expenses, things like that. And then we have these guardrails, like, we have the federal government, we have the state regulations, we have accreditation teams, things like that. And the question is, are we doing anything, or do my actions do anything that either put the pillars at risk or the beams of the bridge at risk? And so for me, that's like the hard stop, right? Like, it's like, don't think that I'm a pushover just because I'm meeting you where you are, right? Because at the end of the day, I am held accountable to my biggest stakeholder, right? So, which is the people we support in the organization. So, yeah, so that's part of it.
That's a great way to put it. And that just reinforces why going through the effort of establishing that all of those elements that you just described, in your leadership team, and gaining agreement across your organization is so helpful to every leader, to have that thing to look back on and say, nope, we stand for this, and we have to uphold these things. And if we don't, everything it could be in jeopardy, and we will not do that. That's amazing. So yeah, thanks for reinforcing that I'm really happy to hear that that's how you do it. And it's a perfect
Thank you.
point of view.
And I think too that the staff, themselves, the employees, they become stronger in this way of being, right? They become the beams on the bridge become stronger because they are being heard, they are being listened to, they are being validated, right? And those beams are becoming stronger. Like in the 8 years I've been here, we've gone from like a $1.05 million organization to 2.4, right? And that's just in 8 years. We've gone from 80 families to 150 families and growing. So and then last week, just Friday, we were reaccredited by this Council on Quality and Leadership. I mean, we're really making great strides. So it's not like saying, oh, again, don't confuse kindness with weakness, right?
Yeah.
So,
I love that.
My sister is a social worker. She has her LCSW, but she also actually works for the National Alliance for Mental Illness. So I know how hard that accreditation process is and how valuable and meaningful it is because she shared it with me. And that's amazing, Kathy. Well done.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Not easy. And we were having our prep meetings during that. And I was like, you sure you don't want to push this? She's like, I got this. And you did. You just painted such a beautiful metaphorical picture about construction and building beams and things of that nature. So I'm not sure you can top it, but I'll bet you can. Before we go, do you have any final wisdom, anything we didn't get to that you'd like to leave our listeners with today?
Specifically around, adaptive leadership, I think it's really important to incorporate those ideals of mindfulness and intention, right? I think it's you're kind of called to be flexible at these times. Like if you're meeting people where they're at, you need to be flexible, but you also have to set intention and you have to be mindful of your actions, both on a macro level and a micro level, right? So I think just keeping that in mind is really key. I also think that don't be afraid to be vulnerable. I think that's really key, and to show your humanity, like we talked about earlier. In fact, right after Rockability, Rob, the next day we had a team building day, and so we went to do karaoke for the first time. And they're all like, well, guess who's going to start karaoke? And I was like, okay, here we are, right? Like, I know if I'm not doing it, no one's going to get up there. So, or it'll be like pulling teeth. And I'm like, okay, so I'm throwing out there. Yes.
So
what was your song? What was your song?
It was Black Velvet.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah.
We won't make you sing bold. A few bars right now.
Thank you. Yeah, that's for a karaoke moment.
Different environment. Yeah. Good for you. That's
awesome. Thank you.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, just being able to, remember to give yourself grace. Right. I think that's so imperative. Circling back to that Reiki practice, right? Is
absolutely
grace is so needed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Self-compassion and grace. You're human too. So
nice.
Amen to that.
Amen is right. Well done. I love this. This has been a great conversation. So Kathy Lavin, CEO of Gateway to Learning and Chapter 8 of Rob's book, Overcommunicate. Thank you. We really appreciate you joining us today. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yay. The whole Reiki master thing, mind blown. Just wow. You're giving me so much to think about. Yeah. This is fabulous. Thank you. And like, wow, maybe, pursuing that kind of energetic work as a leader of an organization. I've always been interested in it, but never thought, wow, this could have great applications to so many components of your life. That's great. Okay. So thank you.
Well, we can talk about it another time. I'm sure.
Yeah, I think we will.
I've been here. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm taking you up on that. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, everybody. Thank you for listening. I'm Eileen Rochford. If you would like to comment on the podcast or suggest a topic, which we absolutely love, please contact us. You can reach us on the Can You Hear Me page on LinkedIn that we have, as well as check out our newsletter, because it's a really good newsletter and it's gaining a lot of steam and lots of people are subscribing. So we welcome you to do that too. And you can find that on our LinkedIn page as well. And anything else we want to tell our folks before we go, Rob?
Just anything you've heard, we'll leave it in the show notes. That's it.
Yes. We always have great show notes. So we'll leave instructions on how to become a Reiki master.
There you go. Everything you wanted to know about Reiki Master. Thank you for joining us. I'm Rob Johnson. We're going to include Kathy's information and Overcommunicate info in the show notes as well. Overcommunicate is available on Amazon. You can get ebook, paperback, hardcover. So it's very easy to purchase. And if you read it, please give it a review. And speaking of reviews, if you like what you heard today, please consider giving Can You Hear Me a positive review wherever you get your podcasts, such as Apple or Spotify. This really helps other listeners find it. And please check out our new website, canyouhearmepod.beam.ly. So we've got the newsletter, we got the LinkedIn page, we got the podcast, we got everything here. Anything you want to consume, we have it. And we also thank you all for listening and for being such great participants in this, and really had a great time today.